We've all heard the golden rule of personal finance. Debt is the enemy. Financial stability, we are told, is built on maximizing savings and eliminating liabilities. We chase the dream of a zero debt balance, believing that the moment we pay off the last credit card, the weight will lift and peace will finally arrive. But here's the paradox we rarely talk about. For millions of people, that zero balance feels terrifying. For them, debt structured, predictable, and fixed provides a sense of security that liquid cash savings simply cannot replicate. High, messy debt certainly leads to anxiety, sleepless nights, and chronic stress. But we must look deeper at why a fixed obligation becomes an anchor in a volatile world. The comfort of debt is real, and it all comes down to an elegant difference between good debt money borrowed to build assets and bad debt money borrowed for quick consumption. We are here to explore why the former is often perceived as a profound source of stability. Think about the feeling of financial chaos. When your money is disorganized, your bills are mounting, and your income is unstable, the dominant emotion is shame. That shame triggers what psychologists call cognitive avoidance. We ignore the bills, we stop checking the bank balance, we simply put our head in the sand. This cycle of avoidance is incredibly stressful. Structured debt, like a consolidated personal loan or a fixed-rate mortgage, offers an instant emotional antidote. It eliminates chaos and replaces it with mandatory routine. It's the shift from unpredictable uncertainty to defined obligation. The liability forces you to engage, but it removes the daily exhausting decision of how to manage your money. You don't have to choose to save. You have to choose to pay the fixed amount on the first of the month. That predictability, that clear path forward, gives an immediate sense of control and optimism, breaking the psychological shackles of panic. For many, predictable obligation feels inherently safer than chaotic solvency. The field of behavioral economics explains why we choose this predictable debt over difficult savings. We are all victims of hyperbolic discounting. Simply put, we value an immediate reward far more than a larger future reward. Saving requires continuous self-discipline. It's an exhausting, day-after-day battle to resist spending your cash. Debt solves this by acting as a powerful commitment device. You sign the mortgage, and the bank does the discipline for you. That one high-effort decision, signing the papers, replaces decades of necessary, taxing willpower. And crucially, a mortgage payment acts as a forced savings account. The principal you pay down isn't cash that can be impulsively spent on a new gadget. It's immediately locked away as home equity, increasing your net worth. This equity is non-fungible. It's protected from your worst spending impulses, offering a deeper, more concrete future security than a liquid savings account. Even when people are deeply in debt, their comfort is prioritized over pure math. Experts say you should pay the highest interest debt first, the debt avalanche. But most people prefer the debt snowball, paying off the smallest balances first. Why? Because eliminating an entire debt account, no matter how small, gives an immediate, tangible psychological win, a sense of traction that keeps them motivated. The comfort of feeling momentum is consciously chosen over the maximum long-term financial gain. But the comfort of debt isn't just psychological. It can be objectively strategic in certain economic climates. We must consider the corrosive power of inflation. When prices surge, the money you set aside in a low-yield savings account is actively shrinking in real value. It's a slow erosion of your future purchasing power. Holding cash in an inflationary environment can actually feel like a liability. Now, look at fixed-rate debt, like a 30-year mortgage or a federal student loan. When the rate of inflation exceeds the fixed interest rate on that debt, the real cost of borrowing decreases. You are repaying the lender with dollars that are worth less than the dollars you originally borrowed. If you are a homeowner with a fixed-rate mortgage below the current inflation rate, your debt is actively devaluing in real terms. Your liability is shrinking, while the asset, your home, is typically appreciating. In this scenario, Experts will often advise against rushing to pay off that low-interest, fixed debt. Instead, your spare capital is better deployed elsewhere, keeping pace with inflation. Your fixed debt becomes an economic hedge, a stabilizing force against volatility, future-proofing your largest expense for decades. The feeling of safety is reinforced by the arithmetic itself. Finally, we find comfort in debt because society tells us it is necessary. We live in a deeply consumerist culture where debt is normalized as the realistic path to the desired lifestyle. Think about the moment you were approved for a significant purchase, a car, a house. Research shows that loan approval often functions as a measure of personal worth. One borrower noted that approval meant they were good enough for that car. Debt is required to build credit, and a good credit score which requires using debt is a fundamental credential for modern life. The system actively punishes those who refuse to borrow. This pressure is magnified by macro statistics. Global debt, government, corporate, and household hit a staggering 350% of world GDP in 2022. When borrowing is the operating mode for nations and massive corporations, your individual liability suddenly seems less like a moral failure and more like a normal cost of doing business. The collective nature of the liability dissolves the personal shame, making the indebted lifestyle feel inevitable and therefore comfortable. Of course, this conversation has a crucial caveat. The comfort we've discussed applies only to strategic, fixed-rate debt that helps you acquire assets or hedge against inflation. When debt is variable, high interest, and non-asset-based, like revolving credit card balances, it ceases to be an anchor and becomes an immediate crisis. At that point, the high interest rate rapidly compounds, and all efforts must be redirected toward elimination. And even when managing good debt, a small, reliable emergency fund is non-negotiable. That modest cash cushion is the barrier that prevents an unexpected expense from forcing you into accumulating the bad debt that actually causes suffering. Ultimately, financial wisdom isn't about avoiding debt entirely. It's about deliberately choosing your liabilities. The comfort people find in owing stems from one simple truth. Predictability is the truest form of financial safety. By understanding the behavioral biases that push us toward instant gratification, the economic forces that devalue our cash, and the psychological relief found in structured repayment, we can stop viewing debt as a moral failing and start seeing it as a powerful, necessary financial tool. Don't chase an abstract ideal of zero debt if it means sacrificing stability. Instead, identify your fixed-rate liabilities, appreciate the forced savings and inflation hedge they provide, and deliberately leverage them toward long-term security. If this idea resonated with you, share this video. It's time we moved past the shame of owing and started recognizing that, when handled strategically, the comfort of debt might just be the most stable financial anchor you can cast. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more tips and strategies to grow your financial knowledge